Hi there, and welcome back to the History of Fleetwood Mac. I'm Anita. Today we're going to continue Scrapbook Volume 4, Episode 2, and we're moving into Tusk territory, staying pretty consistent in the pages so far, even though there's going to be some times, of course, where we're going back and forth. But we're going to continue on with Fleetwood Mac getting their star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and I thought we had a date on this, but I'm not too sure that I do. October 10th, but I'm not sure what year, but I know that Tusk came out in October of 79, so I'm thinking it was pretty much right after that. But anyway, there's some really great photos here. This is an original photograph here. This was an old article that was kind of cool. I forget where this came out of. It was about a book called, the little caption says, Starstruck, Fleetwood Mac, part of the LA scene detailed in Barney Hoskins' Waiting for the Sun, which is the name of the book. And the description is, in addition to being the most definitive book yet written on West Coast rock, Barney Hoskins' Waiting for the Sun, Strange Days, Weird Scenes, and the Sound of Los Angeles, St. Martin's Press, is a revelatory psychodrama. Wow, couldn't say that word, I apologize. A psychodrama that peels off the sun-dappled facade of LA's music culture to reveal the countervailing forces of darkness and light. The sunshine noir dialect, as writer Mike Davis puts it, that were at play in the work of the region's greatest practitioners. Navigating his way from Central Avenue, where the West Coast jazz scene had its heyday in the 40s, to the Laurel Canyon homes of the 60s, hippie rock vanguard, and finally to the 80s punk rock venues of Sunset Boulevard, Hoskins, with deft narrative skill, chronicles the peculiar contradictions of scene that burned itself out on the hedonistic utopian worldview. So colorful and fancy. I can't believe I stumbled on that. I know that word. I just might. Yeah. So anyway, I actually never read that book. I've actually never heard of it, and I've had it forever, right? I've had this little thing forever. So I just thought it was cool that they were in the background, of course. But I ought to check out that book probably. More little clippings from here and there. And some 8x10s of the same day. This one's really cute. I don't think I have a photographer for either one of those. And continuing on. Not related, but showing all their records. Which is probably a little space saver. So the next thing that I have was a really cool find. Something had come up on the internet, and unfortunately, people took the pictures off the auction that was going on, and the pictures ended up everywhere. But what had been up for auction was an autograph of Stevie Nicks and Linda Ronstadt, and it was taken in 1979 at the Roxy. I think the date was August 2nd. Funny enough, the day I met Stevie, way in the future, later. But this person, whose name I need to remember, when I talked to this person and eventually acquired these items, I just really asked this person, or they had one photo for sale. I think it was one photo and the autograph, but then they actually had another photo. And I guess they must have put it up or somewhere like that because all the photos went everywhere. But the person ended up selling me the autograph, the photos, and the ticket, and this little piece of paper that the autograph was on, and the story with it. So I got all the information. I have I have the only pictures, and now, I'm the one who really has the photos. There are no other prints of them out there. There are stuff on the internet, but I actually own the photos. And when I got to talking to him, he was a super nice person, and he was really somebody who used to go a lot to the Roxy or other places in Los Angeles. And was just kind of starstruck, but he was a really big Linda Ronstadt fan. So it was a cool thing. And so I asked him, like, what memories he had. And he said, actually, I wrote in a journal and stuff. And I'm like, that's just right up my alley. So I said, listen, I know it sounds really weird, but like, it's not just the autograph and the photos that are really cool. But, if you happen to have a page or, part where that was written, I would love to see that or hear it if you don't mind sharing it with me. And he was super nice about it and actually made me a copy of it. So his handwriting is a little hard to read, but the story is, went to the Roxy, waited in line, went in and saw Louise Goffin. The concert was for Greg Kihn with Louise Goffin opening. I took pics. I don't know what it says. Walton there, not sure. I stayed in for the second show and saw Linda Ronstadt and Stevie Nicks with a whole bunch of exclamation marks. I asked Linda if I could take her picture, and she said no and thanked me for asking. I went and got my pen and came back. She asked me who I was taking pictures for, and I said I'm nobody. And she asked Stevie and JD Souther, who were there as well, and they said yes and posed for a picture, and I took a second one. Stevie said something about her smile, so she didn't like the first one, so she wanted a second photo. They both signed their autograph, and I left for the second show. I think it's his friends, maybe Jamie and David or something like that, came by. And the second show, say for Greg Kihn, and something, and Linda in the crowd. And then at the very end, Jack Nicholson showed up to the show. So it's just a really cool little memory. And like I said, he made a copy of it. So this was his little journal entry here. And this is the ticket. And I put, because it shows where it's at, there's a copy of the ticket from the other side here. Like I said, this was the journal entry sent me. And then this thing was the table reservation that you can see right here in the photo. And so they had taken that out and they'd flattened it, and this is their signature on the back. So this one is really cool because it just says, to Brian, that's right, love Stevie. And it's just her first name with the little print. So that was really cool. Brian, that's right. Duh, it's right there in front of me. And then Linda Ronstadt's signature here. So this is the other side of this. And I just put it there because it was really cool that you could see that in the photo. And that's what they used. But that's the first one. Stevie didn't like her smile, which I thought was really funny. And so they had the second one. Or no, I think it's what it was is I think he took this one and then something about Stevie wasn't going to like her smile in this one. But yeah. He wished that he had had some more, and I certainly do too. But I just feel very blessed. I was very fortunate to get this. I've made a friend, which again is just really part of my whole thing that I love so much. And, we keep in somewhat contact, just shouting out hi here and there. I like talking to people who, have these concert experiences, but this was a really good find. The autograph is phenomenal. Don't mistake. I'm really super stoked about that. But of course I love the pictures, but I really love this. This is just really cool. And not buying somebody's memory, because that sounds like Total Recall or something really freaky weird and stuff like that. But it was just, again, sharing that memory and the scrapbook for me anyway, that memory lives on and stays with us through my story, through my telling you now. You have a little bit of background, and just imagine if you were there and you went to see Greg Kihn, phenomenal person, and Louise Goffin, who's, if you recall, the person who did the If You Ever Did Believe, which I wasn't a really big fan of her vocals, but that's okay. Everybody has their own opinion. And I always felt that you could really hear Sharon Ceylani's vocals on Louise Goffin's track the most. But anyway, he went there for that show, and then freaking Linda Ronstadt, J.D. Souther, no less, and Stevie Nicks show up. And then just as he's leaving after the second show, Jack Nicholson shows up. I mean, just what a time to be alive at the Roxy, in the 70s and stuff like that. Just so cool. So this is very, very special to me, of course. And I hope I did it justice, this little, layout and stuff that I did. Like I said, just tried to make copies of everything so you could just see the front and back. But anyway, that is one that's really super special to me. So that's that one. Next up, we're going to go, these are kind of common, not common, but you might see them online. These were from a Japanese magazine when Fleetwood Mac went to Japan. Now they're showing, it's funny, in all the pictures, showing Tusk stuff, but it was in 78 or 79. I'm confident about it. And the only reason I say that is because, well, I'll show you in a second here. But there's a couple different magazines, or maybe the same magazine, but a couple different times where pictures from this trip Fleetwood Mac made out were in there. This is one article. I have a duplicate of it because, on the flip side of the pages were these pictures. With Stevie and Christine. Lindsay and Carol Ann. Christine and Bob Welch, and Christine again. So because of this, Bob Welch was in town at the same time. And so the manager that I keep bringing up, Gabrielle, she went with them. She went actually with Bob. It was really cool because Fleetwood Mac and Bob had run into each other. So in this part, which is another clipping, a different article, these are pictures that Gabrielle had taken. So again, here's Carol Ann. This is a big Fleetwood Mac sculpture that you can see. Yeah, you can see in the background here of this one. So Gabrielle had taken this picture. So again, more stuff from her personal stuff, which is really neat. Her ticket. And then these were other pictures from that trip, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But I think a different magazine. This might have been a US magazine these pictures came in. Stevie's mom was there. Unfortunately, this article is from 1980, so that kind of doesn't count. And this article is about, kind of includes the fewer artists earned gold platinum LPs in 1979. And there's just a little paragraph basically talking about the demise of Tusk, as we all know. It was a double album, very expensive at the time, how the sales went. All the important people were like, oh my God, there goes our Christmas bonuses and such. And the fact that it got leaked and recorded, so many people didn't buy the album. They had it on cassette from it being shown, played live. But I think in one of these here as well, maybe I haven't gotten to it. I thought that Gabrielle was in a photo with the band at one point here, but I don't see it. Maybe that was another time. So anyway, yeah, so that was kind of cool. And then going on to that, these are the pictures of Bob being in Japan at the same time. So in that other one, you saw Bob and Christine because I guess he'd come to her or something. But then this picture was of Bob and John. And it's really cute because in Japanese, for some reason, I just decided to have this part translated. And it said, during an interview with this magazine, Fleetwood Mac member John McVie appeared and made a happy visit. I couldn't help but smile at the person I met, which I just thought was so cute. I don't know if the person means the interviewer who met Bob and John, or if he's like talking like they were talking to each other, but a happy visit and smiling at the person I met, I just thought was really funny. And then this gentleman here that is Bob Welch, and what is his name? Basker, I think Menon of Capitol Records, which Bob was on. So it was, again, another photo from Gabby's stuff. And then here's where it was. That's where I was mistaken. So this, again, is another magazine article, and there's Gabby, Bob Welch. And then this gentleman here, I think it's named, I think he's the interviewer. But then Bob is with Baskin again, and I don't even want to try and say the name. I don't want to murder it. I'm going to try really hard. It's Nobuo Takamiya, perhaps. But he's the president of Toshiba and EMI. So that's where you would have got, all those EMI records and such. That's where you would have gotten circulation in Japan and such like that through EMI. So probably EMI and Japan. So meeting with them. And then Basker again from Capitol. So Capitol would have been talking to EMI to make sure that Bob's record got released there. And then these were really cool photos, again, out of Gabby's collection of record store displays where they're at. And I just thought that was really cool. And the record store displays were display photos taken at Record Bar. And I think that one might have been in the States. I don't think that one was overseas. But yeah, thought it was kind of a cool thing. And I thought it was really neat where the band got to meet up with each other and such, old friends, I'm sure, visiting because, Bob and, with everybody, Bob having been in Fleetwood Mac, duh. And then, still really cool with the current lineup, Stevie coming and joining him for songs, Lindsay, Chris, Mick, everybody and John, on his records and such. So anyway, I thought that was really neat. And again, some more personal pictures from Gabby's collection, which, just really make a really neat addition to the collection. And it's really cool when you can piece it together with stuff out of magazines and such. So that is it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Next, we're going to get into a really great photo montage, a session taken by Norman Seep, I believe, in Tusk. So hope you look forward to that. And thank you for joining me, and everybody have a great night. Bye.